I'm Chronix from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your AEW Dynamite review for January 8th, 2020, live in South Haven, Mississippi at the Landers Center. I was there live. You probably seen me in the front row holding a little bit of the bubbly. Now, tonight's episode, we've got a lot of questions. Will MJF continue in on his demands for his match with Cody Rhodes? Is Cody Rhodes going to accept all of these stipulations that he has thrown out? Is Jon Moxley going to join the inner circle? We got a lot of questions. It's Elvis's birthday. We're 20 minutes away from Memphis, Tennessee. So let's get this started. Start off with a recap of what happened last week, letting us know, hey, there's a lot of questions here that we got to have answered here tonight. Last week we had Taz as a special guest announcer. That was awesome, but we're here. We're honoring the legends of Memphis before the show. A lot of that will air on AEW Dark coming up this coming Tuesday. And for a special guest spot this week, we got Dave Brown, a Memphis legend, there for, well, at least one match. And we're starting off the night with that match. It is Hangman Page, the man who apparently has a drinking problem. If you've been following some of AEW's affiliated YouTube pages, this is a developing story with Kenny Omega taking on Private Party. Well, in a segment last week, you had a apparently drunk Hangman Page taking a $12 drink, and Private Party not really being okay with that, kind of being stuck with the bill. That's the gist of it. So, well, they're having a match this week. So, well, we already know they're not the best of friends. And, well, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page themselves, they haven't exactly been getting along perfectly as a tag team. Not as cohesively as Private Party has. Oh, no. They're not wearing matching outfits or none of that. It's not happening. They even have their own entrances. So, yeah, they're tagging together. It's kind of working. Is it going to work tonight? Okay, we're going to find out. They have a pretty entertaining match, of course, to start the show. You do not want to start your show with some boring crap, and they did not do that. Kenny Omega, he reverses this kick from Mark Quinn. He does it so hard he reverses him, he flips him in accidentally into Hangman Page, and I said, oh, that's going to cost the match. But believe it or not, Hangman Page was able to come back in and do a double team move with Kenny Omega to beat Private Party. And Omega and Hangman Page, they win. Hangman Page, he doesn't look super thrilled about it. I mean, he's, yeah, won, but he didn't look super excited like, yeah, we won, that's so exciting. He just wasn't too thrilled about the way it happened. Or maybe he's just not too thrilled with Kenny Omega in general. I'm getting a lot of weird vibes from this tag team. They are not just palling around having a good time. It does not seem like that. And all of a sudden on the screen we're seeing backstage that Pac is backstage, and Kenny Omega's best friend Michael Nakazawa, he's back there. He's getting attacked, and Kenny Omega's like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta help my friend. I gotta go right now. And Hangman Page is kind of like, yeah, I think I did my part here. Did my tag team duties. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the bar kind of thing, as Kenny Omega goes and saves his friend. So you can tell definitively right there that these two guys are just not on the same page. Well, not on Hangman Page's page, if you will. So, there's a couple fans in the front row who had beers. They were giving him beers. The man was taking a beer after beer after beer as he's going up the stairs there. And I'm thinking, man, he ain't even going to be able to finish these stairs after all of those beers that he's been drinking. So, it does seem that Hangman Page has a drinking problem as part of this thing that they've got going on. So, I don't know exactly where that leads, but that's what they're doing with Hangman Page at this point. At least he's got something going on, so I can give him that. But yeah, Michael Nakazawa was getting brutalized backstage, and Hangman Page did not care about that. Next, we have the women's match for the night. It is for the women's championship. Riho will be defending her title against Chris Statlander. Brandy gets on commentary, and she proceeds to make fun of Excalibur. And I thought, come on, Brandy. Come on, Brandy. You of all people. Stay on task. Stay on subject. I mean, I guess if she's trying to be a bad guy, bad girl, whatever, she can make fun of the commentators, but I don't know. They seem a little bit inconsequential to what she's trying to do. So, I don't know. It just seemed like wasted airtime for a little bit of that with, Brandy just making fun of him. Whatever. We move on. The actual match is taking place. Title is on the line, and this is the match. And early in this thing, Riho goes for a 619 that was definitely missing some digits, but Chris Statlander, she picked up on that, and she picked up on those knees, and she brought and reversed old Riho there. Riho is pretty small, and Chris Statlander is kind of thick, is what I'm saying. In this particular situation, the title's on the line. I feel like it might be in danger. Might be in danger of losing that championship to Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander hits this tilt-a-world backbreaker that was just out of this world. It looked like she broke her back. I said, oh my gosh, someone check on this lady. And Chris Statlander even hit this bicycle kick. I mean, she threw this bicycle kick so wild. I think she hit Riho in her back. It wasn't even anywhere close to her head. And Chris Statlander, she tries to hit a moonsault, but she hits nothing but mat. Stalling suplex from the second turnbuckle, and the Nightmare Collective proceeds to come out. Melanie Cruz, she throws Riho into the guardrail. Chris Statlander does a dive onto Melanie, and I'm thinking, where's the disqualification? I mean, this is clear disqualification, right? Then a bald man with a red circle and a line, he's there, and of course Excalibur knows who it is, and of course he's someone from Japan who's famous for death matches. So why is he in the Nightmare Collective? I don't know. Hopefully Brandy's going to explain that to us at some point. Riho does a crossbody onto Luther. That's the name of this new guy, apparently. The new guy with the shaved head and the line and his name is Luther. Of all the names, I mean, you think it would be something sinister, not like Lucifer, but something, like Butcher and Blade. They sound kind of sinister, but your name is Luther. I don't know. It just doesn't strike fear into me immediately. Like maybe if you had another name or a nickname, but just Luther. Hey, Luther, how's it going? Anyways. But they don't ring that bell. And I'm saying, look, it's not very hard. You get this thing, you get this little hammer, you hit it a bunch of times. Disqualification, my man. But maybe it's a championship match and they don't do that. But I don't understand. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, there's a... No. I just don't understand this. Look, Kong, she turns Chris inside out. But first, Riho, she does steal this one. Did I mention that? She rolls up. Look, it was Chris Statlander. She was going to do her finisher. She was going to do the Big Bang Theory. She was too close to the ropes. And Awesome Kong, she was right there in reaching. She grabbed it. This distracted her enough. Messed up her finisher. Riho comes away with the victory. After this is... when we have Kong, she's attacking Riho. She's trying to help, but she's getting attacked by Melanie. Sheeta comes out to help, but Britt Baker, she sits down and decides she's not going to help. They were out there watching the match. Big Swole comes to help, and Sonny Kiss is out there. So where is this going to go from here? Why are they attacking everybody? Are they just trying to get everybody into their group? Because I know that they want Chris Statlander. That is something they've been trying to do. She said no. Well, now they're attacking her, so they're going to make Chris Statlander's life a living hell is what it seems like. There's a super bad promo video backstage. Next, we got Christopher Daniels taking on Sammy Guevara. And it shows the previous week where Christopher Daniels missed his big move. He botched it. And apparently this has really been bothering him. And Sammy Guevara, I don't know why, but his tights are too small. Look, if your tights spend most of the time up your crack, they're too small, even to the point where the crowd was chanting Sammy's wedgie. And this happened last week too. I'm telling you, I point these things out because look, you just can't have it up your ass all the time. It just seems weird, or it seems like you want it to be like that. And I mean, I guess if he's about that, but it just seems a weird thing to add into your thing, Sammy Guevara. That's all I'm saying. Time for bigger gear. Pentagon Jr. comes out for the distraction and he's like, show me, because Christopher Daniels is so messed up what happened in that match with Pentagon Jr. apparently that it's really bugging him. And that distraction costs him the match. Sammy Guevara wins. The Dark Order comes down and they try to recruit Daniels. You got Evil Uno saying that he sees a future in him and he can help. And I'm thinking, how is Evil Uno, of all people, going to help Christopher Daniels? But that's what he said. He thinks that he can help him, and hopefully his self-worth isn't so low that he actually believes it. Evil Uno, of all people in the entire wrestling world, could help Christopher Daniels be Christopher Daniels. So they offer him a mask. Christopher Daniels refuses. He says no, and he gets his ass kicked for it. The Young Bucks come down to help, and the Dark Order leave. So what exactly does this mean? The Dark Order, are they a coward in this situation, or are they're just being smarter? They're like, we're actually thinking ahead of the game. You know, we're leaving, but we got your number. Maybe that's actually what they're going for in that situation, but I just hope that they have a clear-cut plan and they're not just making this up as they go, because sometimes I worry about that with the Dark Order, because it does seem like there's some loose ends in some places, if you see what I'm saying. Lucha Brothers are taking on the Brotherhood, Cody and Dustin, with Arn Anderson, the coach, the enforcer. He's out there. And the Lucha Brothers, they feel special. I'm so glad that they're in AEW, because they really feel like they are a tag team that you want to see and that any other promotion would want to have in their company. But it feels different and it feels nice, so I'm all about it. Cody is pumped. He's in the corner hitting the 10 count. He's so pumped that he throws his little weightlifting belt into the crowd. I didn't catch it because it went far behind me, because I was in the front row. Man, it's hard to catch stuff in the front row. I'm saying things just go over your head. And things go over my head all the time, if you haven't noticed. I'll be missing stuff when I'm doing my reviews, because I'm sitting here taking notes. But I did not miss this Canadian destroyer that Dustin hit. Holy freaking crap. It just looks so painful. Ray Phoenix, he hits this sweep cutter. Man, it would have pinned. It would have done it, but Cody gets a cutter himself. Dustin hits the final reckoning. Arn Anderson, he didn't have to do anything. And the Brotherhood come away with their hands raised. Now, MJF is next. Will Cody accept MJF stipulations? Arn Anderson, he ain't having it. He's on the microphone. No, this is the part right here. MJF is actually later. Arn Anderson, he's on the microphone just letting MJF know ahead of time that MJF is not running the company. This isn't his show, and they basically don't have to just cater to his every whim, his every single teeny tiny desire. And they're going to get back to him next week. Lanny Poffo, he's backstage at the interview, and I was actually wearing a Committed to Wrestling t-shirt, and Lanny Poffo came up to me, shook my hand, and told me a joke or a story about being committed, and I was like, Lanny Poffo's talking to me, and he thinks that my shirt is awesome. He thinks Committed to Wrestling is awesome. I said, or at least he thought the name was. Either way, compliments that I will take. Yes. If you didn't notice, I had a dang good night on that night. It was pretty awesome. This is one of the more entertaining shows that I've been to, just because of the involvement of being so close up in the action. Next, we do have MJF with Wardlow. And as MJF comes out, he's not kissing fans as he's coming out. Oh no, he hits a fan with a sign, which I was just dying. And he is talking about, Cody, you're a coward, and you've got till 10 to come out here. Starts counting down, and he calls him a little bitch. And I said, dang, Cody's going to whoop that ass. But Cody does not come out. He just had a match. DDP comes out, and DDP self-promotes himself, self-high-fives, if you will. And people were even chanting for yoga. I don't know who else in the entire world could get a yoga chant at a wrestling event. DDP can. And he said that people on Twitter have been asking him, one more match, could it happen? And he's been considering that. Fans have asked this, could this happen? Does DDP want it? He looks like he wants it. MJF says, you know, in your prime, in DDP's prime, you couldn't lace his boots. And I'm like, really? I mean, this man took on Goldberg. He was a main eventer. He wasn't even young then. He was winning the WCW championship. He was kind of a big deal. And I mean, come on. You can't even compare. Even trying to flex on somebody like that, it's like, you're so out of their league. You're making yourself look dumb. But that's what he did. That's what he did. Why ever he did that. But he doesn't want to face DDP right now, but he thinks he knows somebody who might. Maybe a couple of people. He brings out Butcher, Blade, and the Bunny. And he says, you know what, DDP, you can kiss this ring, and then you can leave. Or you're going to leave going to hospice. And the Diamond Cutter, boy, it gets it done to Butcher and Blade. And then MJF, look, this boy says that he can get the Diamond Daughter in his room late at night and do the bang. And I'm like, oh God. He's talking about his daughters. This is not going to be good. The look in DDP's eyes was crazy. He looked like he was going to just rip this man's throat out. And he even went for the throat. He didn't even try to diamond cut this man. He was going for the throat, like he was going to choke him, which made perfect sense, because if that was something that happened to anybody in real life, that's the kind of reaction that you would have. So DDP leaves through the people because he still, after all these years, is the people's champion. So next week, yeah, we're going to have a DDP match, and that's freaking cool. Jurassic Express taking on the Best Friends with Orange Cassidy. It is Marco Stunts' hometown, first time here in AEW, here in probably the biggest event in South Haven that Marco Stunts ever wrestled in. And they're having the match right here, and that is awesome. And there were people chanting for Marco Stunt all through the arena. Everybody was excited to see him, and Marco Stunt, he was standing so tall with pride. He's standing in the ring with pride because people were pumping him up. But he could stand up as tall as he wanted, but he couldn't make himself as big and as strong as Trent, because Trent just pushed him down. And they have a nice little entertaining match here. I was all about this thing. And Orange Cassidy, he does get in the ring and he puts his hands in his pocket, and this gets a holy shit chant as he goes to kicking Luchasaurus. This man is so over, it is freaking crazy. He's got his hands in his pocket as he dives to the outside. He even got his hands in his pockets as he does. Does he have his hands in his pocket? He gets on the top rope and does the laziest splash ever. Even on commentary, they said it looked like he just fell asleep. And I said, yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. Boy, that man is lazy. Lazy enough that, it might have cost him the match in the long run. I'm just saying, his laziness here. Marco, he does a Canadian destroyer on Trent. And Marco is launched into Trent and Cassidy on the outside by a dinosaur. And Jungle Boy, he's the one that comes away with the victory here. Right there, stacking up Chuck. And that's all she wrote. Jungle Boy's a victor. Jungle Express win. Now, it is time for the main event. And the main event here is Chris Jericho and having Jon Moxley. It's been the invitation. He's going to give him 49%. He's going to give him this Ford GT that costs $250, $750 millions of dollars. I don't think Chris Jericho can exactly get it straight. 49%, the LLC, part of the inner circle. He gets to be side by side running this whole joint here with Chris Jericho. Somebody who looks up to, somebody who is a legend, and somebody who Jon Moxley has learned a lot from in his career. Will Jon Moxley join? I've been saying, oh no, he will not at all. There's no way he's going to join. After all the silliness that Jericho, all the embarrassing things, getting beat by Jungle Boy, why would he join the Inner Circle? It would just be a bad decision, and we all know the real truth. The real truth is that Chris Jericho, he wants to keep his enemies close as he can, because he does not want Jon Moxley coming for that championship, because in Chris Jericho's mind, he has to know that Jon Moxley right now in 2020 is the biggest threat to Chris Jericho's championship, because Cody Rhodes, he can't even challenge. Jon Moxley absolutely is the biggest threat to him keeping himself as Le Champion. So he's trying to join, he's trying to buddy up, he's trying to fool this man into joining under false pretenses, and he's willing to pitch in a car, to pitch in the money. He didn't buy him all himself, no, he made everybody pitch in, and he's willing to make him 49% of the LLC, and all his money and fame and fortune and the bubbly, right? So, will it work? That is the big question. They're going to have a big party in Beale Street, 22 minutes away, Beale Street. None of the fans are invited because, of course not, because we're just not cool enough for the Inner Circle. But Jon Moxley is, and they're going to offer this to him. And the fans, they're just not about it. They're not liking this, about this whole thing. And Jon Moxley, he comes down, he's coming down, he's got his jacket on, he's considering the options, and you know what? He doesn't want the fame, he doesn't want the money, he doesn't want the LLC, he doesn't want any of that, but he does want to run roughshod over AEW. He wants to be doing what he wants to do, and that is why he has decided that he will join the Inner Circle. And I'm like, no, why do this? So they start popping champagne bottles, they start partying, they start having a good time. Jon Moxley's not sitting here drinking the champagne, keep in mind, but he's got his Inner Circle shirt on, so he looks like he's ready to go. And he's like, hey, Jericho, can I get those keys to that car? So Jericho's like, oh yeah, sorry, here's the keys to the car. And now he's got the keys, and then that's when he lets Jericho know, with the champagne bottle in his hand with Chris Jericho. They're just holding each other, whatever, like they're best buddies, all buddied up, okay? I'm not actually going to join, I'm just kidding. Smashes a bottle over his head. He's still got them keys, and he's out of here. He starts to leave with the keys in his hand. So yeah, he got what he wanted. So that was really cool. I like the way that they did this, because Jon Moxley, even to the point where he winked at the camera, where only the camera could see before he made his decision. Like he was letting the fans know, like, yeah, I've outsmarted this dude. See, Jon Moxley, he's sticking to his principles. He doesn't care about the money. If he wanted the money, he probably would have stayed in WWE, right? He doesn't care about the car. He doesn't care about that stuff. What he cares about is pretty simple. He wants to be the best. He wants to be free, and he wants that damn nice-ass looking championship belt. He's sticking to his principles, and that's awesome. That just makes him even more likable and makes Jericho even more of a scumbag for trying to con this man into joining his group just to keep him away from the championship. But that was a really cool segment. Even at one point, we had Sammy Guevara running around with this very sign in his hand, flashing it to the crowd and getting everybody hype. And I was like, well, that's super cool. Now I have actual TV used material. Got my sign that was used on the air, and that was so freaking cool. Even these signs even got me on on a news article. I was thumbing through some stuff, and I was like, oh, things that you might have missed on AEW. And I'm like, well, I wonder what I might have missed, because I was freaking there. And I was like, hey, there's me, Chronix, right there on right there on the article. And that was really cool and unexpected to see. So double score, I was front row. Oh man, had a good time. And a lot of people were messaging me, DMing me all over the place. Like, people were texting me that I hadn't talked to in months, and like, I saw you on freaking TV. And I was like, that was me. That was me. You got it right. It most certainly was. So yes, after this, Moxley's out and the show is over. That was a very entertaining show. Jon Moxley did not join the Inner Circle, but what does this mean? What is Chris Jericho going to do next? Now that he knows that he has a target on his back, he knows absolutely for sure that Jon Moxley knows what Chris Jericho was up to. He knows that he was trying to protect himself from losing the championship, and now the championship, Le Champion, that championship, oh, it's on shaky grounds now, because Jon Moxley, he's coming for it. He's coming for Jericho. He's coming for that championship. So we're going to see as AEW progresses. We do have AEW Revolution coming up soon, the pay-per-view, and I'm just assuming that this is going to be the championship match that we see on that night. And I'm looking forward to that, because I kind of feel like Jon Moxley, he might be taking Chris Jericho's championship. It could be happening, but we will be finding out soon. I can't wait to see it, and I will catch you guys next time.